Hi all. So I'm not saying I've finished with that mudguard thing because I'm not happy with it at all. But we're going to start with the next bit. Got this stuff, and I'm going to turn that into a side pod. At least that's the plan. Let's see how it goes. Right then, so before I forget, my son, who I'm just going to do a little bit of, I've forgotten the name of the thing now, bragging, what do they call it? Flexing, a little bit of flexing, who's recently finished his master's degree in biochemistry and has got a 2-1, so we're well chuffed with that, and actually proved he does watch these videos, because I thought he was making it up. Hiya, Jack. Anyway, I got sidetracked again then, didn't I? My son, who's done all those things, also reminded me that I don't often enough do the YouTube stuff. So, please like the video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the video. But the one that I evidently never mention, and Jack has reminded me of, is hit the notification bell. Because otherwise, or even though you're subscribed, most of the time YouTube won't tell you there's a video anyway. So evidently you've really got to do both. So if you're subscribed, hit that notification now. By the way, Jack, was that YouTubey enough? Also, these TikTokers and all these people joined, 4,000 new subscribers. But the videos hardly get any more watchers. I'm not sure how all this works, but if you are one of those new people and you are watching, and you might know why your friends who came across aren't, give us a clue. Can you put something in the comments? Because I don't know how all this stuff works. Yeah. Anyway, let's get on with it. So this is the wing. It's not pretty, is it? The top's not too bad. The sides patchy. The front I'm really not happy with. So I was thinking, I know this is a sidetrack. I said to you I was going to be doing side pods, but I'm just going to tell you about that. So I was not happy with that and thinking I got to make a new one. But then I thought, well, actually the mould itself wasn't too brilliant. I've got to make a mould for this side, and then it went through my mind again. Why have I made it handed? I thought it would work aerodynamically better. However, I think if this is symmetrical, the difference aerodynamically will be very marginal. So I'm going to make one that's symmetrical that can fit either side of the car. So I'll only have one wing design, and I can get one. I'd rather spend my time getting one that is good than end up with two that are kind of half-cocked. So anyone want a wing? It's going very cheap. One more thing, quick thing on the whole YouTubey thing. Because I've hit this number of subscribers and all that, it means I can monetize the channel. I still can't make any money out of adverts, but what I have done is this members thing, and there's like 3 tiers. There's 3 tiers. The basic one is only a few quid, and it's basically I watch the videos and I quite like them, and I'd like to help out a little bit, and I can't remember the exact cost, but it's only a couple of quid. And then the 2 up from there costs a little bit more, but basically if you join one of those, what I'm going to do is like a raffle for all the people who have been on those, and you'll get like an entry to the raffle per month. So the longer you're a member of those levels, the more chances of winning. And basically the medium level is you can come out for a free ride in the car when it's going, your choice whether when it's sort of normally aspirated or you wait till it's turboed. And the top level is you'll be able to come out on track, either track day or maybe even if you want to come down when I'm trying to do some speed testing. that would be your choice. But those levels are there. It's just basically, I know these videos look like I spend 2 minutes doing them, but you'll be really surprised to know they do take a bit of time, and I really need to be getting a little few quid back from them. And I'm just trying to search around for ways to do that. So if you'd like to join, if you'd like to contribute a bit, that would be brilliant. Basically, you'd be buying me a cup of coffee once a month. Or if you really fancy coming out in this thing, you know how you can do it. So I've set the front and rear up with neg 2 camber, which is about where we are. And I've also chocked the wheels up. I'll chock the suspension up so as it's more or less at the right ride height. Obviously what I need to do is get this side pod thing at about the right height, because what we don't want to do is have it dragging on the ground, do we? We're not looking for a slow and low here. So I'm starting off to do the side first. So to give you an idea of what we're looking at here, it's going to come down the same curve as that, then along, and then we will curve up to go around there. At the moment it's propped. I put a couple of little bits out. I've got to work out, because what I'm going to do is make this side bit about 2 centimeters below the chassis. The idea being to try and retain air in there. Obviously with this being kind of sacrificial, if it does scrape on the ground, it's no big deal. From reading these books, it seems, because you get this skin effect thing going on, so you need 1 centimeter or 2 to help stop air leaking out or pulling in where you don't want it. So now I think what I'll try and do is do the top bit. So I've got to basically have a piece that's going to fill the whole of this gap, and then it's going to come all the way in here to kind of have air going in. The side with the radiator will have air coming into this, so it would basically be like a big box on the side. So the funny thing is with doing this car thing is some days, like trying to do this, you spend hours and hours and hours and it's not very good. And then another day you spend 2 hours and you've done most of a whole panel. Well, I haven't done most of a whole panel. But you're getting the gist. That's what the side's going to look like. Underneath here is going to be wing shape, so hopefully you're kind of getting the gist of what I'm on about. Lotus 78-ish look. Obviously this will blend into here, but what I've got to do is, so under here is some angle alley for the straight bit, but where it curves up I'm going to 3D print some little brackets, and then basically the whole lot I'm going to use that sticker flex stuff to stick it down with, because so the bolts would be either just there until the sticker flex sets, or I might have them in there as a belt and braces. Hopefully getting a feel for what's going on now. So the passenger side, I'll have the radiator right up on this bit, so the weight's forward, but also obviously where this turns in sharper, it's just few more centimeters of space for fitting in the biggest radiator I can. This side I'm going to have some sort of hatch type thing in here, and this will be my boot to put all my fruit and veg in, so when I use this as a shopping car I've got somewhere to put the shopping. But for now I don't have any Sikaflex, so I've got to go get that. And I need to make some little short 3D print brackets for these curved bits. So I'm going to set that going. It's a lovely day out here, so I'm going to shoot out in the Exo Booster. Go get some Sikaflex, Stickerflex, whatever the hell you say it. And I might just go on a little detour on the way. So this is the inside of the side pod. This being the front. So I've just roughly cut out the notches we need to go around the chassis. bolted those two bits together, and then I've made a whole load of brackets. So this is the shape of the underside. So you can see it's that inverse wing. Everything I've been reading, it looks very uneven, but everything I'm reading says that the lowest point is where you get most downforce or suction, whatever you want to call it, and where the car is going to be quite rear heavy, I want to get as much of that force forward as I can, but also where I want to have weight as far forward as possible. It means the biggest space I got for a radiator is near the front, so it kind of works two ways. Anyway, so these are the sort of temporary holding brackets for the underside. So I'll stick a Sikaflex, I don't know how you say it, those all on, and then once I'm all happy with it, it will be kind of fiberglassed in. I think I'm probably going to be putting a layer, at least one layer of fiberglass underneath this, so in some ways this is a sort of a frame. So the thing I haven't decided yet, that perhaps some comments or ideas would be quite useful, is I've not made up my mind how to attach these to the car. So the way I see it is I've got two options. I can either have a frame welded onto the chassis that the pod fits over and I bolt it on. Now that would have an advantage in some way, because I guess that frame, if there's a bar down the side, would almost act as a little bit of crash protection as well. Or I could build a frame and attach it to the side pod, and then bolt it onto lugs on the chassis, or maybe even some sort of combination of both. At the moment, I kind of see pros and cons of both. I guess if it's bolted on and there's a frame inside, it's still going to give some form of crash protection. To be honest, the crash protection bit is a sort of a secondary. That's if, you know, if it can be made to do that, then that's brilliant. That'll help. So I might even put some kind of foam in there, not polystyrene because that catches fire, but some sort of similar kind of stuff to polystyrene inside it. On the other side, on the passenger side, I will have to have some framework attached to the car because it will have the radiator. So basically the radiator will be attached to the car and the side pod will kind of, if you imagine, sort of fix over. So does it make sense to have the frame permanently attached? I'm not sure. This is definitely a comments below really would be quite welcome. Any ideas? Obviously, if you've got an idea of doing it another way, the advantage with a bolt-on thing is I can then make the frame out of alley, which would be a little bit lighter. Obviously, if I weld on, it needs to be steel because, you know, I can't weld alley to steel. But yeah, so if you've got any other ideas or suggestions, can you leave suggestions below? That would be great. Cheers. It's because I don't have any clamps long enough to reach over here and clamp to the little brackets. I put a straight piece of metal and I'm just doing the straight bit first. I'm going to let that set off and then do around the corner bit where it's obviously going to be trying to pull away all the time. So this Sikaflex stuff takes a good little while to set off, so I just need to leave that to it. Right, so this is today's middle eight for this video, and it's an autistic trait, but I think it's pretty common among nearly all autistic people. So to be diagnosed with autism, the main criteria is what they call communication issues. The one I'm going to talk to you about is quite common, I think, to autistic people, and it's certainly one that I have issue with, and it's being able to focus on a person or people if you're in a crowded place. I'll be completely honest, I'm nicking this idea from another channel that I follow, and if I remember, I'll try and put a link in. And basically what it was is they tried to demonstrate what it's like for an autistic person to be in a crowded place. So bear with me, you've got to do some pretending. You've got to pretend we're in a pub or a busy restaurant or something like that. And I'm going to talk away and do some small talk. And I'm going to change the background volume. My understanding, because of course I can't know what things are like for you or anyone else. My wife's not autistic, so she can give me a fairly good idea of how things are, but I can only guess on these things. But the basic crux of it is that where most neurotypical people can focus in on the person they're talking to so they can hear that person, autistic people you tend not to be able to. And it's sort of part of this thing with autism that is a very big plus in some ways is this big picture thing. We take in everything all the time. Of course, the downside of that is when you're trying to socialise and you're in a noisy place, we're still taking in everything all the time. So when I'm in a restaurant, particularly these more modern restaurants that are, where they're all bare walls and really echoing, as the noise level goes up, that's all I can hear. I can't focus in on the people I'm with. The hubbub and the noise goes up and up and up and up, and I have to constantly harder and harder to try and then, when you're in sometimes 3 or 4 people, suddenly there's these conversations going across the table. So it's not like one person talking and somebody on the right is talking to the person opposite from the left, and I just go, some people want So hopefully this demonstration, because in the editing I'm going to be putting this background volume up and down, and hopefully you'll get a gist of what I'm saying, but you'll also get a gist of how it feels like for autistic people and how tricky it can be. And what I'm going to say actually is I was planning on recording this bit, and I realized I've been doing a lot of negative things about autism. I'm going to try and do some more of the positive things because there's so much at the moment that people saying all these negative traits. There are a lot of positives. And as always with this bit, if you've got any questions, please ask. I've had very few people asking me about my autism and ADHD. The whole point of this thing is I'm happy to try and share and help you understand autistic people a little bit more. Anyway, so that's that bit done. Let's get back out to the car and boiling my bollocks off because it's so fucking hot at the moment. I'm not sure if I showed you this when I did it. So this is the front section. And I decided it was too flexible, so I put a layer of that horrible chop strand stuff on there and then taped it into position so as it would set in the correct position. So that's been there for a little while. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that off and check it's okay, and then I can take the template for this side up into my office, which is much cooler, and I can cut that out up there so I can feel like I'm making some progress. Of course, all I need to do is find where I put that template that I made months ago. I'm sure I put it somewhere really obvious. Right, let's have a look. So the straight bit is fairly dry now, and I've managed to That's gone fairly easily around that curve, so hopefully all that lot will glue on. It's just clipped up. Some old lead weights holding it in position. My assistant has come to check on progress again today. I don't know who owns the assistant, but it's a very cute cat. So this was only supposed to retain it sort of quite temporarily, but until it was all shape was correct. But it's just not sticking. I thought this stuff stuck to everything. I even rubbed this down with some rough sandpaper. So I'm gonna have a rethink of this, and the fun and games of, well, it's not that difficult, like it's just peeling off. I'm not too sure quite how to tackle this. I think I'll have to just, obviously I've 3D printed these with holes in. I think I'm just gonna have to bolt it together like I have the top bit. But I will need to find something that will stick. Yeah, okay, let's have a think. Again, if you know what works on this stuff, it's PVC, so there must be some glue designed on it. Maybe I might have a crack with contact adhesive. It's actually a good job I've found this now, because I was planning on this being kind of temporary, well, not temporary, but the bolts being the braces, if you like, and the Sikaflex I was going to put all under all of these joints as being the primary joining material, whatever the right word is. So it's a good job. I wouldn't have realised it wasn't working had I not have done this. So sometimes when things don't work, it's for the best, and this is definitely for the best. I think what I'm going to do is use a little, cut off a bit and do a little experiment with some silicone sealant, maybe contact adhesive. I'll probably just have a general rummage around what I can find over there in the adhesive gluey sort of area. Maybe even that no nails stuff. It seems to work on a lot of things. Whilst I'm contemplating what to do with that, I thought I'd get on with doing the other front panel. So I've cut it out from the template, and then I'm just going to hole saw that so I can do the line up there. But looking at my hole saw, do you think I might win a competition for the most absolutely knackered hole saw? Yeah, I think I'd probably be best if I buy a new one of them. So this panel's starting to come together now. Obviously I marked it out with a template, making sure it was slightly on the large side. And I've used the sander, a nice big sander, because most of this is straight lines. Oh yeah, I cut out with tin snips, which of course you're not always going to get a particularly straight line with those. So using a fairly large flat sander means I can then get a nice straight line on those. And we're getting pretty close. I need to tidy this sort of curve up a little bit in these corners. And at the moment, I'll just show you, the only thing that's holding that round is the bolt in there. So I'm just going to get my heat gun and just apply a bit of warmth around there. So then hopefully it then decides it wants to stay in that shape. But here we are, heat wave number 3. We're 9:30 in the morning, and it's now too hot for me to be working out here. I'm literally sweating my nads off. So I thought what I would do is, with the big panel there, is I will mark that out for the side pod for the other side, and I can go and up in my office I can go and cut that out and at least progress something. So the next day, about 7:30 in the morning, it's going to be absolutely scorchio again. So I'm out here doing backwards days again at the moment. I come out here for a couple of hours and then it gets too hot, so I go and hide in and do some work and earn some money. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention, so I drew all this out yesterday using the other side as a template. And I suddenly looked at that and it really reminded me of being a kid. I suppose those of you of my generation will remember you used to get those little aeroplane things made of some sort of foam that you snapped out, slotted the bits together, threw them a couple of times and lost them. It kind of looks like a giant version of one of those. It's starting to look like a car here, I think. So did more work on that front piece. Needs tidying up. I've done the warming up bit to get that to curve, and I will stiffen that up as well. Obviously I've got to cut that yet, but I do kind of, when you look at it from this side, you've got wheels, a bit of bodywork, a seat. Does it look like a car yet? We're getting there. So with the effort to try and do a video a week as far as I can, although I've not really come to the end of any specific bits, I'm going to wrap the video up there. Main, if you like, shout out, whatever you want to call it, with this one is that glue thing. It'd probably be fine with just, or you know, the amount of bolts I'm putting through will probably be absolutely fine. But you know, with a lot of things on this, you've seen me do kind of belt and braces, certainly if it's a low cost and low weight impact braces, if you like. It's worth doing, isn't it? So if you know of any glues or anything that will work on there, let me know. I have had a sort of a Google look, and it comes up with some stuff that's bloody expensive and that. So anyway, yeah, so if you can let me know with that one, and also have a little think about the framework. Do I build the frame into there and bolt it to the side of the car? Do I weld a frame onto the car and then just sort of bolt that to it? At the moment, I'm erring towards putting a frame within the side pod and then kind of bolting that onto the car. But I'm very open to be persuaded otherwise. If I've forgotten or missed something, let me know. Anyway, hopefully I'm going to survive this heat wave, and I will catch you in a week or so if I manage to get out and do any work. So I'll catch you all later. Bye.